Hey there, I need to clarify something. On one of the videos I posted, I talked about buyers agents behaving badly, right? People that do, stupid stuff during transactions that ultimately can cannonball a transaction by just inserting their own agendas. Anyway, what I need to clarify for you guys was that in that video we were talking about two credits that got created on an addendum. One, post the buyer's inspection, we, as the selling side, created an addendum that offered the buyer a $1,200 credit on that addendum in lieu of repairs. Now, to make a long story short, my mistake on that video, and obviously it was a semantical error, was the second addendum that was created by the buyer's agent, who insisted on creating this addendum because it was a VA loan and you can't create an addendum for my VA client. I have to do it, which is not accurate. Anybody can create an addendum in a transaction. Everybody just has to sign it. They have to agree to it. If they don't agree to it, I don't care who wrote it. But what I missed when I was trying to represent the second addendum that was written up, because we had to adjust the price of the house based on a slight appraisal shortfall, that the seller was willing to allow the house to be sold for slightly less than list price. I was going to write that addendum, or my TC was going to write that addendum and send it to have the buyer sign it. New price to be right? And then the buyer's agent had a conniption about it and was like, I need to write that addendum. So we let him write that addendum. Well, in addition to writing that addendum, he wrote within that addendum, seller to provide credit of $1,200 to buyers. I misspoke and said buyer to apply credit. It was just a mistake. The point was that the two addendums were instructing the seller to provide a credit of $1,200 to the buyers at close of escrow. The problem with that was that the buyer's agent, who turned out to be, I've got all sorts of colorful words to describe him and his actions, but they were not in good faith. Okay, and I don't appreciate it when agents on the other side of the deal start acting not in good faith and start pulling nefarious stuff, okay, if you will, in a transaction. It threatens the viability of the transaction. It could cause a breach on one side. Somebody could get sued. There's a whole lot of reasons why we don't act like a juvenile delinquent. And we don't insert our personalities into the transaction. I am here to advocate for either side of the transaction that I am on, and I am here to assist and make sure that everything is done correctly so that there is a uniform experience, hopefully for everybody, and that everybody wins, okay? My responsibility financially is to the side that I am on. But if that means that I have to assist the other agent because they're acting like a jackass to help get them to across the goal line so that the buyers win and the sellers win, then we're gonna do what we need to do to articulately communicate our way through the transaction to get the job done. This agent, 3 days before closing, tried to cannonball the transaction when our escrow officer sent out the settlement statement for the selling side to review and the buyer side to review for approval. We got our side, we looked at it, yep, the $1,200 credit was there, approved, stamp of approval, sent. I get a call on Friday night from my escrow officer, whom I've worked with for many years. She is extremely good, and I trust her implicitly. She calls me up, says we have a problem. The buyer's agent's having a conniption because there's a missing credit. What credit is he talking about? Well, apparently, according to him, his second addendum of seller to provide buyer a credit of $1,200, his idea when he wrote that was he was trying to slip in an additional credit because we yanked his concessions away. And that's another conversation for another day. And if you're curious about the story, DM me and I'll explain to you how it went down. But the bottom line was he was trying to squeak in another win because their concessions got taken away based on the appraisal. It's a long story. But because the addendum said the same thing that our first addendum said, the second addendum doesn't become an addition to or a combination of. The second addendum now becomes the new controlling document. And if there isn't verbiage that adds the two together, then a $1,200 credit and a $1,200 credit is still a $1,200 credit. If they wanted the second addendum to represent that this was an additional credit, it would have needed to say, seller to provide additional credit of $1,200, combining addendum A or addendum 1 and addendum 2 together to make a total of a $2,400 credit to the buyer at close of escrow. Something similar to that, but that verbiage wasn't in there. And so that's what I had to correct for you guys. It was two credits that he was trying to merge together. They both said the same thing. That's not how it works. He was cheating, and it didn't go over well. And ultimately, between the escrow company, between our side of the transaction, between my broker and his broker, he made himself look like a putz, and this was an agent that proudly, said, I've been in real estate for 30 years and I've done over 5,500 transactions, and I'm just going to call BS on that right out of the gate. Dude, if you've been in real estate for 30 years and you've done 5,500 transactions, by my math, that's 184 transactions a year. You should be a multimillionaire. The fact that you're doing 4 transactions in a year, and you're just floating around and you're, throwing your weight. Dude, go retire, buddy. If I've done 5,500 transactions over the course of 30 years, I wouldn't be here on YouTube talking to you guys. I would be on an island somewhere fishing all day long because I'm rich as all get out. That's not the case. I'm a real human being. I work hard. I got a family to support. I have families to support. You guys out there as clients. My job is to make sure you guys succeed. Okay? And when you get agents like that do dumb stuff like that, and I got all sorts of colorful words, but my dad watched my video last week and he was like, son, you should, I love your content. It's great stuff, but you should peel back some of the controversial words. And I'm like, well, that's what makes it fun sometimes, Dad, is to say shit, or stuff like that. So at any rate, that's my rant for the morning. I just wanted to clarify that on that video, it was 2 credits that he was trying to combine. That's a big no-no, okay? Don't do that kind of stuff. Don't be a putz. Don't act like that as an agent. Hey guys, got any questions? Please hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much. If you got any questions, DM me. Happy to take calls. Love to hang out, shooting the breeze about real estate. Have a great day.